Right now, technology and energy leaders are promising us that artificial intelligence, paired with near limitless power, is on the verge of solving human scarcity. But if we look at the deep past, humans are not novices at this. Locally and repeatedly, we have actually solved the problem of basic survival before, without spending every waking hour looking for their next meal. Strictly defined, historical abundance is a material fact, a surplus of energy and resources, the specific margin of calories and fuel held above the requirements of bare survival. When a society secures excess calories, it buys something entirely new, discretionary time, that allows for the division of labor, where a portion of the population stops growing food. Those freed individuals become full-time specialists, potters, architects, metalworkers, and scribes. Human culture is, materially speaking, an accounting statement. It is the direct result of what a society chooses to spend its excess calories on. We can test this math by looking at two historical societies that built enormous margins of energy using completely opposite geographic strategies. First is the engineered road. In the basin of Mexico, Aztec farmers manufactured artificial wetlands called chinampas. They built raised beds directly into the lake bottom, creating a highly efficient agricultural system capable of yielding up to 7 harvests a year without depleting the soil. That hyper-efficient food supply sustained a massive non-farming specialist class. They used their freed time to build the city of Tenochtitlan and encode sophisticated astronomical data into monuments like the Sunstone. 2,000 miles to the north, indigenous nations along the Pacific Northwest coast achieved a massive surplus without planting a single crop. They relied entirely on dense, predictable annual salmon runs and nearly infinite raw materials from the cedar forests. Because a full year's worth of calories could be secured in a matter of weeks, whole communities experienced a months-long winter leisure season. They converted that seasonal time into theatrical dance dramas and master-carved cedar genealogies. Whether the surplus is engineered from the mud or harvested from the sea, the human response is identical. Given free time, we immediately begin building specialized cultural capital. But that exact same caloric margin carries an immediate cost. The free time that funds the artist also pays for strict social hierarchy. In the Valley of Mexico, the abundance of the chinampas underwrote a highly militarized tribute empire. The leisure class was supported by a state religion that required mass human sacrifice. Along the salmon coast, the natural abundance sustained rigidly ranked societies, ruled by hereditary nobles. By some estimates, nearly a quarter of certain coastal populations were enslaved. Once basic survival is solved, human competition does not disappear. It migrates to positional goods. Wealth becomes about status, and the display of items whose value depends entirely on other people not having them. A surplus never distributes itself evenly. The precise caloric margin required to build a monumental culture is exactly what builds the throne, and the slave market beneath it. Today, we often assume that achieving true abundance guarantees our eventual ruin, that we will simply overconsume until we destroy our own environment. No place represents this fear better than Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. It is widely taught as the ultimate cautionary tale of ecological suicide. The popular story claims that an isolated society used its surplus to competitively carve massive stone giants, completely devouring its island's resources and triggering a total demographic collapse. This graph compares that old narrative against recent evidence. In 2024, an analysis of ancient genomes dismantled the collapse theory. The DNA showed no signs of a self-inflicted pre-contact crash. Instead, the population was growing steadily right up until European contact. The demographic catastrophe on Rapa Nui was real, but it was imported. It was the direct result of Peruvian slave raids and introduced epidemics in the 1860s. The moai stand as evidence of a society that successfully and sustainably converted its surplus into cultural capital for centuries. Today, we face a digital version of that same equation. If artificial intelligence and automated energy can reduce the total human labor required to maintain our infrastructure, they function exactly like a new caloric margin, a massive pool of freed, discretionary time. History proves that any energy surplus gives a society the power to build. Our challenge isn't whether we will have enough, It is how we choose to share that freed time and what we will choose to carve with it.